Hello, everyone. Welcome back to E20 Zone TV on this fine, hot Monday afternoon, stroke evening, wherever you are on the planet. To my right is Jay. Down the bottom there is Lucas, and a special guest down the bottom there, just below me, is ex-West Ham employee. We've got a lot of questions we need to answer in tonight, and he's the man to answer them. Before I get started, please do smash the like on the video. Subscribe to E20 Zone TV, hit notification bell. I'm trying to get to this 5,000 mark. It's hard work, but we're going to get there. Jay, how are you doing, mate?
I'm good, man. I'm in the tropical paradise that is East London right now, and it is not being ruined by West Ham United. At least not by them on the pitch, anyway. How are you, mate?
I'm good, mate. I'm good. Lucas, you well?
I'm good. Hope you boys are good. I'm also in the tropical paradise of Annapolis, Maryland. It is absolutely sweltering and belting over here, so just trying to survive.
And he's got a sharp Barnet now as well.
He's looking good, mate. He's looking fresh.
Shout out to the Barnet.
Yes.
100%. X, how are you doing, mate, before we get started?
Yeah, I'm all good, pal. Thank you. Busy, but probably not as busy as a lot of people would like me to be at this precise moment in time. But yeah, all busy and all good. Thank you.
No worries at all, mate. Let's get into this because that is why we're here. Mohamed Kudus, X. Like, there's a lot of worried West Ham fans out there wondering what's going on at our club. And it's come out today that Tottenham are looking like they're going to up the ante. What are you saying on Mohamed Kudus, mate?
Well, Tottenham are the second club, behind Chelsea to actually make an offer for him, like Chelsea offered, to 3 players in exchange with no money. But as we know from the word coming out of the club, where we've got cash flow issues, I think it's probably the right way to describe them. And so we wanted money instead of that. And then Spurs inquired and said, could they get him for 50 million? Now, 50 million is 35 million below what the release clause is now, and that's what we were aiming for. However, I think there's a sort of growing acceptance now at West Ham that we're going to struggle to get 85 million for him, probably based on his performances last year. Obviously, 2 years ago, he was world class, and I would have said that was probably too little for him. But obviously, based on last season, where he didn't deliver perhaps as much as we would have liked him to, I think the club are now thinking, well, we're not going to get 85, so they're trying to get as close to it as possible. And it seems at the moment that only Spurs are the only ones that are putting up the money or prepared to start putting up the money. So I don't think an official, other than the inquiry, I don't think an official bid's got in yet. But I think they're preparing to. Now, West Ham have always said they don't like to deal with Spurs, and that's been a message that's came out of the club for years and years and years. But if there's no one else that's going to bid for him, I think West Ham are going to accept the fact that that is the only option and possibly entertain it. But they're hoping the bidding war will start and get as close to 85 million as we can, really. But yeah. Of course, for West Ham fans, selling arguably one of our best players to one of our main rivals is never going to go down well, is it?
I was going to say, like, on that, it's a weird one, isn't it? It's well documented, as you mentioned, our cash flow problems, and I think the club are trying to paint it as PSR problems. But anyone who looks at our finances and has any knowledge of football accounting seems to say it's cash flow problems. I don't know what to believe, but I think the most alarming thing, and I'm curious about this: do you see a world where if Spurs are the only club that come in and they're holding on their price of £50 million, do you see a world where we could accept that bid just to kickstart our transfer window?
It's a difficult one to answer, mate. If I'm true to you, I think that obviously the aim is to get it up as much as possible. That there may be, I don't know what the figure is in their head. There may be a figure that is beneath that 85 million that they think, you know what, if we can get it up to that, then let's just take it. Because as you say, it's going to be this. It's going to be Paquetá's situation, and maybe ExWHUEmployee possibly are going to be the 3 main bits of news business, shall we say, that's going to hopefully kickstart our ability to buy players and our knowledge of what players do buy as well. So I think they accept probably in their heads that 85 million, is going to be a bit of a stretch. But I think that the aim for now is the hope that Tottenham do lodge a bid, and then someone, maybe Chelsea, although it looks like they might have looked elsewhere now, possibly Newcastle, Arsenal were meant to be looking, Manchester United or another one, and then there's also Saudi teams. Now, Kudus has made it clear he doesn't want to go to Saudi. But if Saudi teams are offering more money than domestic-based teams, then perhaps we might sort of try to persuade him to take one of those. I don't know the actual tactics that obviously the club are going to employ. All I know is that we need to try and get as much money from this deal as we can, because realistically, we're going to sell a few players. But how many of them are going to make us a lot, make us a decent amount of money? Kudus is probably the one that's going to make us the most. So we need to get the most out of that deal. Spurs coming in is not ideal because of the rivalry and because of the club that they are and stuff. And it'll be, as a West Ham fan, it will be painful to watch him playing for Spurs, definitely. But
yeah,
I guess it comes to the dilemma. And I'll throw it out to you guys of what you would do. But if they are the only club that bid, and let's say they bid, I don't know, 65, 70 million, do you take it? That's the dilemma.
For me, you just don't deal with Spurs.
Yeah.
Like, it's as simple as that. Like, we haven't dealt with them for years, and it feels like that we're handing out the begging bowl and saying, please, Spurs, save our transfer window. And that's the problem that a lot of fans have got currently right now. I think people accept that Mo's going to go, right? And we can all accept that, yes, he's going to go, right? Some of us, like myself, are like, I think he had a bad season last year, but I don't think he's a bad player. Some people think he's crap, right? Nevertheless, it is what it is. But to go to Spurs and say, like, can you like rejuvenate our transfer window is a bit of a smack in the mouth to every West Ham fan going currently right now. And I really can't. I can't understand why it's so bad at West Ham at the minute, when it's so unorganised that we're just trying to flog this man to whoever we can to just get some money in. And for me, it just feels like we're going to depths where I never thought West Ham would go. I think we used to do this years ago. I don't know about any used boys, and I'll come to used boys in a sec. But for me, I make this short and sweet. You just don't deal with Spurs. And if he goes to Spurs and he kicks into gear, they're going to laugh at us for like nabbing a player that, let's have it right. Mo is a very, very good player when he's on it. At the minute, he's not on it. And I just don't think it's the right move for us to go and sell to them, then for them to just laugh at us, if I'm being honest. Jay, what are you saying on that?
This is not what we were sold when we left the Upton Park. We were not told that we were leaving Upton Park so that we could continue to sell our best players to our local rivals. We left Upton Park for, and I quote Karen Brady, world-class team and a world-class stadium. We spent the last few years competing with these clubs, fighting in the upper echelons of the Premier League, competing for European trophies. Kudus joined when we had just won a trophy, and we were probably looking at the Europa League that year going, do you know what? We got a chance. We got a chance of going deep into this tournament. Fast forwards a couple of years and we're looking to sell him to Spurs in a budget deal because we've got no money to spend. Like, I cannot accept this in any scenario where Kudus goes to Tottenham unless they trigger the release clause. If we do any kind of budget deal for Daniel Levy and for Spurs, we are completely lost. And I expect uproar quite rightly in the fan base personally.
Lucas?
Yeah, I mean, if we're just talking like ultimatums and everything, right? Like, if we're talking a scenario where I'd rather, to be honest, I'd rather just keep Kudus at all costs if it means that it's either us or Spurs, honestly. But my biggest fear is that, you know how Sullivan is, right? He's going to be like, well, this is what I think it will take. And I'm afraid that Levy will actually throw the money on the table and Sullivan will shit himself, backpedal. And then even if he did decide to accept it, there would be uproar. He's in a lose-lose situation, in my opinion, unless, again, everyone has a different opinion on the figure. I mean, like, I don't think we're going to get 85 for him, but it would be very hard, even if it is Tottenham. And I'm saying I wouldn't do it, but if he slaps 70 million on the table and we're desperate to sell in order to buy, which I don't necessarily agree with. I mean, I kind of believe it, but I don't agree with it. It's going to be difficult. And if Sullivan were to do it, there would be a massive uproar.
Can I ask X a question before I hand it over to Jay? Are you surprised, X, that this has gone the way it's gone? Because for me, I look at this current situation right now. I can't believe West Ham are in this situation. I can believe it with the ownership of the club, because the ownership of the club are not very good. Yeah, and I'm not going to go in on them because everyone knows how I feel on here in regards to the Sullivan. But are you Are you surprised at the way it's going with West Ham at the minute, that we are struggling to sell players and we are just in a shit situation?
Yes, mate, definitely. We won a trophy, our first one in 40 odd years, 2 years ago. That should have been the catalyst to kick on for us. We should have been using that as right, we've done this now, we've won a trophy, we've got that in our locker. Now let's move on, let's push for the Europa League, let's see what we can do that's better and try and better ourselves each time. But it seems like we're in decline since winning the trophy, and that's a ridiculous situation to be in when we've got good players, or we had good players. We had good enough players to win a trophy, good enough players to get as far as you did in the Europa League the year before, get us qualified for these competitions. And it seems since then we've got worse and worse and worse. And last year was embarrassing at times. The performance level was embarrassing from a number of players and from the team, and our whole performance as a club. The whole Lopetegui saga everything last year was a car crash. And yeah, I am worried and I am embarrassed that we are on this much of decline. And let's be honest, looking at it as we do right now, with no signings, with the same squad as we had last year. Obviously, there's time for things to change, but as it stands right now, I think we're going to have a struggle next year. I think we're going to be possibly in a relegation battle unless we can get some players out and bring some players in. And I can't understand why we are in this situation. Ultimately, a fish rots from the top, right? Ultimately, and the block has to come from the very top, because whoever you blame it on, whether you blame it on Steinson, whether you blame it on Moyes, whether you blame it on Lopetegui, Potter, the players, there's only one consistent there. And the one consistent is the ownership. And so, therefore, you can defend the owners for various things, but ultimately, if the club is in decline, then they have to take responsibility for that, and they have to put a stop to it very soon. Because West Ham go down to the Championship, heaven forbid. I don't think we will, but if we did, it would be a disaster in that stadium, and I can't imagine how bad it would be. So we need to put an end to this very, very quickly, and that's by financing transfers for the right players and making sure those players are not just the right players in terms of ability, but are the right players in terms of personality as well. Because I think a big factor last year, we had good players. Alvarez is not a bad player. Kudus is a very good player. Even you look at Rodriguez, I know he probably wasn't right for the Premier League, but he's a World Cup winner. There was just something not right about, I think, our team spirit and the attitude of certain players. So it's not just about buying quality players, it's about getting the right personalities through the door as well. We've got to get it right this summer, because otherwise the consequences are worrying.
Yeah, I completely agree, mate. There, Jay, what are you saying?
I was going to say on that to kind of ask a follow-up question on that. Do you think Graham Potter knew the situation he was coming into, and can you see a world where him and the team are potentially already getting frustrated with it?
Yeah, I see. It's a difficult situation, isn't it? This is just classic West Ham. We appoint a manager where the chairman's made it clear he doesn't trust him, and has tried to get him on a 6-month contract prior to that, and also made it very clear. I mean, I obviously won't put it out word for word, but I've got emails and evidence suggesting that he doesn't rate Potter. Then all of a sudden it changed, and we did suddenly rate him. We were going to give him 6 months, and now we're giving him 2.5 years. So already the sort of lack of trust was there to start with. And so I'd be very interested to know what was negotiated, because originally it was meant to be a 6-month contract till the end of the season, and then we'll see where we are. But he ended up getting, because of Everton's interest and a few other things, he ended up getting a lot longer. I'd be very interested to know what he was negotiating in terms of transfer budget, because you'd have to have established a decent one. Otherwise, you wouldn't have wanted to take the job, because you would have been walking into something where you knew it was going to be hard to improve. So I'd imagine he has been agreed a certain amount, and maybe the board eventually will give that to him with player sales taken into consideration. But I think McCauley wouldn't have left Chelsea, and Potter wouldn't have come to West Ham without some sort of promise of a budget. Otherwise, it'd be suicide for them, really, wouldn't it?
The only thing I will say on that, I'll just put X on mute a minute because it's echoing. The only thing I will say on that is he setting up Sullivan? Is Sullivan setting up Potter to fail? And that is
yeah. I mean, mate, the
main.
thing with that, I know people feel like that, and I can understand why. To me, I question why you would do that though. Like, why would he bring in a manager that he wants to fail? Because ultimately he's going to fail as a result of that. Sure, and I'm not speaking to defend Sullivan. I don't know what he thinks, but why would he do that? Why would he bring in a manager that he wants to fail? Maybe when things are failing, then he might throw him under the bus. But until that point, why would you want to bring someone in to fail? Because
I think it's more of an ego thing, though, X. If you want me to be honest, I think it's more of an ego situation with Sullivan because his face is so far out of joint because of the Lopetegui thing. When he delivered Lopetegui last summer, he thought he was doing a good deed, and basically it sort of blew up in his face, and the fan base went berserk because the way Lopetegui was. He's then brought in Potter, on a sort of 2.5 year basis with a break clause next year. He's looking at this and thinking, well, I'm not really a big fan of Potter, so why am I going to back him? Do you know what I'm saying? And it's a bit of a divide there. I don't really understand what Kudinski's up to in the boardroom. If you want me to be truthfully honest, I look at him and I think, surely you've got a hell of a lot of money, hell of a lot of assets, and you're sitting there and just allowing this to carry on. And it's just, I don't know. I don't like it. A lot of fans don't like it. A lot of fans are shit scared, worried about next season. I'll make them right. Some fans are like, oh, we ain't going to go down because the Championship and the Premier League is two different levels. When you've seen West Ham go down in 2003, mate, anything's possible. Do you know what I'm saying? So I sort of understand that. Jay, any other questions for you, son?
Yeah, I know, X. I know you're a big follower of West Ham's youth teams, and we've talked about the youngsters at this club for quite a long time. It looks like, we haven't got anything to get excited about on the signing front. Can you see any of the key youngsters like your Potts, your Orford, Casey, Skulls, Earthy? How many of them, or can you see any of them getting a chance in the first team next season?
I'd like to think they will. I mean, they're going. All of the ones you named there are going to Germany, where they're doing the fitness camp, and I believe that they're all then going to America as well for the tour over there. And that is their chance to try and establish themselves in the first team. Part of me, if I'm trying to cheer myself up, tries to tell myself that the reason that we haven't signed anyone yet, obviously the finance is the main reason, but when I'm trying to cheer myself up, I think, well, maybe it's because we're going to give some of these youngsters a chance, and at this point in time, we don't know which ones we're going to like, which ones we're going to keep, which ones we're going to say can go or go out on loan, so we can't bring anyone in yet because we don't know what positions we need. Because if you look at it from the ones you listed, you've obviously got a centre back in KC, which we need, a left back in Skulls, which we need, central midfielder in Orford, which we need, an attacking midfielder in Earthy, which we need, and Freddie Potts, a sort of creative, sort of box-to-box midfielder, and you've got Callum Marshall maybe that could play up front. Now, obviously, I'm not sitting here saying, yeah, that's what we should do. They're the guys. We don't need to sign anyone, but I think they're going to be given a chance to prove themselves. Now, I think it's late. I think it should have happened a lot earlier with some of them, particularly last year when we weren't playing well and West Ham fans pride themselves on being the academy. What harm is it to have thrown a couple of those in, here and there to try and develop them? I don't know why we didn't do that, but I think they will be given a chance. Whether they'll be given a proper chance, who knows? But I'd like to think certainly the ones you listed there will get a good go in pre-season. And if they impress, then they'll be part of the squad next year. Let's face it, we need homegrown players. We need players that care about the club. Most of the ones you listed there are West Ham fans, regardless of being West Ham players. And they're all good lads as well. They're all really good lads from good families that could really improve the team in my eyes, both in terms of ability and like personalities around the place.
Yeah. Let's talk about some incomings, if there's any, X. Obviously, we've been linked with so many players. What are you saying on anything that's happening with West Ham?
To be honest with you, mate, I couldn't tell you who we're going to sign next. That would be a guessing. But as you say, I do know we've got an extensive list. Most of the players I've put out are of interest. So they're players that we've watched, that we've scouted, that we've maybe made initial contact with agents as well. But at this point, it is going to depend on player sales and who's sold. And again, the Paquetá situation, because we could go from having a Brazilian international midfielder that's playing for us next season and hopefully playing better because he would have had all that baggage taken away from him. We're going from a player, if we don't do that, a player that we could sell, which would probably be 40, 50 million maybe, or a player that never plays again. So I think that is an important factor, and hopefully within the next couple of weeks we'll get an answer. But there's lots of targets out there. It seems to be that the theme is younger players or players in sort of less established leagues that could come to the Premier League and be a Bowen, be an Antonio, be a Cresswell, someone that develops and gets better and better with West Ham, because I think that's kind of where we've gone wrong a little bit in the past. And I actually buy into that if that is the case and we get the right players. But we're obviously looking at the Leicester keeper would be one that's quite high up. I mentioned Cresswell. I forget what his first name is now, but
Charlie Cresswell.
Sorry?
Charlie Cresswell.
Charlie Cresswell plays for Toulouse. He's someone that we've noticed and have been watching for a while at the England under-21s. We like Ty, I forgot his first name as well, Morton, the guy at Liverpool. There's a lot of those sorts of players that McAtee at Man City, that if they come in could be really good signings for us. But again, it's just whether we get them or not, and we'll see. But at the moment, as you can imagine with what I do in terms of reporting transfers, every half a day, so at least 2 or 3 times a day, I'm messaging people that would know, saying, come on, mate, surely something's happened now. Give me a name, give me some movement, give me something. And they're like, nothing at the moment, mate. Hold tight. But they do keep saying that they reckon it's going to start to kick into gear now. We're in July, new financial period. These tournaments are over. Players returning from holiday. Players being sold, domino effect. So hopefully, I'm trying not to panic at the moment. I'm trying to think, it is going to happen sooner or later. But at the moment, I don't believe there's anything particularly close as I'm speaking right now.
It's worrying. And I'm sensing it from every sort of West Ham fan currently right now. Lucas, anything you want to add on to that? What's been said?
Yeah, I mean, for me personally, I'm not going to say I'm a massive fan of having no idea of what players we're looking at, because I'd be totally lying. But there is an aspect to this that I do kind of like, that I feel like Graham Potter's keeping, and Macaulay as well. I feel like they're keeping whoever they're looking at very close to their chest. And like X said, because we all follow what he says, we all see what he says and posts. I mean, I really couldn't tell you who we're close to, who we're really interested in. The only player that I could really think of that, from what I've seen, we seem very keen on is Onyeka from Bruges, really. And that's about it. But me personally, I have this delusion, and I have nothing behind this. It's just, I feel like God is telling me something, is that McAtee will be a hammer. I don't know why, don't know how. I hope it happens. But yeah, I don't know. It's a weird one for me. I kind of like not knowing a lot of what's going on, because no leaks normally means that we've got our shit together, we're calculated. And when there's a lot of leaks coming out, stuff gets messy. Some people find out earlier than what they should. I don't know. It's a bit of a weird one, but I sympathize with people that are in the dark and they have no idea what's going on, because next season will be a struggle, especially if we keep 70-75% of the players that were playing last season and we were shit. So
the only thing that worries me, right before I hand it over to Jay, let's put that on mute quickly, is basically that we're waiting to sell. That's basically the bottom line of it. We're waiting to sell, and until we get rid of Kudus, because he's the only money asset at our club currently right now, we ain't going to bring no one in, which is worrying. I have got a little worry about Dominic Calvert-Lewin. But I know X said before he ain't on the list, but he's definitely on Sullivan's list. 100%. I'd have money on it. Because if we can't, with us getting rid of Mikel Antonio on a free, and we ain't got a lot of dough, and we're struggling for players, he's the perfect player, isn't he? To come in on a free transfer. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So, Jay, anything you want to add, mate? Any questions?
I was going to say that's a perfect segue into something that I'm desperate to ask and desperate to discuss, which is Super Mikel Antonio.
Make that
the man the man that divides so much opinion and is the most disrespected man definitely at West Ham at the moment, and certainly in like recent history. I absolutely love the bloke. Anyone who watches this channel regularly knows that I absolutely love the bloke, and I get the situation and I get where we're at, but obviously his contract expires today, if I'm not mistaken, and he's no longer a West Ham player. That is the end of 10, 11 years at the club. 10 years, I think. Please tell me that I'm not delusional here when I hope and pray every night that Mikel Antonio may one day wear a West Ham shirt again. Is there any chance that Mikel Antonio might play for West Ham at some point in the future again?
Yeah, there is. Can I just go back to a couple of things Lucas said there, then I'll answer that one just to say a few things to some stuff there. The Belgian player, I forget his name, the Nigerian Belgian player that you said that you thought we were close to. I think there's other players in that league that we're more close to, if I'm honest with you, than that fella. He is someone that we have looked at, but there's players that have played for the same team as him. And in that league, I think are more likely than him at this point, I would say. The other thing with there being no leaks, I think basically what I think was followed on afterwards and said, and I think the main reason it's not that there's no leaks and they're keeping things close to their chest. I think it is that they just can't buy anyone until they've got money to buy players with. I'd like to believe what you're saying there, and I, as a fan, I wouldn't like it from a ITK point of view, but from a fan point of view, I would like it because, of course, we hope that there's players out there that have been signed. Of course, they've got a target list, they've got players they want to sign definitely, but I would say I don't think I've ever, and I'm not blowing my own trumpet here, I'm just sort of speaking facts. I don't think I've ever been as well connected to transfers in my life in terms of what I do, and all the people that I know in and around it don't really sort of know where we're going at this point in time. And I think that would probably, unless Potter's just completely like taking everyone out of the picture, which I'm not sure he would do because obviously he relies on recruitment and brought McCauley in for that reason. I think it is just a case of we might have spoke to people, we might have targets, which I've put out there, but we can't make a move with them until we've got the finances to actually do it. And to answer the question of Antonio, we've offered him a deal. The deal is largely based on appearances because obviously we don't know what sort of state, for want of a better word, he's going to be in after his injury. That from what I've heard, it's like not a big reduction on his basic wage, but it's sort of made up by appearance and goal bonuses and stuff like that. Antonio believes he can get a better deal elsewhere. Probably. I don't know if they're in the mix or not. I'm just speculating with this, but I wouldn't be surprised if a Saudi club did look at him and think, well, he's top scorer for West Ham in all time in the Premier League. He's Jamaican international still. Let's bring him in. And so he's probably thinking, right, I'm going to weigh up my options. I think at the moment West Ham are thinking, well, if we sit tight, these options might not come to anything, and he might come back to us. So I think it's a bit of a waiting game again, like everything with West Ham. As far as I'm concerned right now, I would say my gut feeling is we'll make one more offer to him. So it'll drag out a little bit longer, and then we'll make one more offer to him and see what he says. But at this point in time, it's still a bit unknown. He's playing for Jamaica, so he's proved he's back fit. I don't know how well he's played for them. I haven't watched any of the games, but we'll see. We'll see. And we need to it depends, like you say, whether we'll get any other forwards in. I've been told that Calvert-Lewin isn't on the list, like you said, 2 or 3 times. But like you, I've supported West Ham long enough to know that we can say that. Yeah. We can say that. And there are 2 days left and we still haven't got a forward. then suddenly he becomes on the list, doesn't he? So at this point in time, I don't think he's a target. But who knows? If West Ham, as you said, he does fit what would be stereotypical West Ham signing, doesn't he?
It's just, how can I put this? Well, when you've got no money, you need a centre forward. You've either got him or Callum Wilson, ain't you? Do you know what I mean? We're not going to get Jonathan David, so that ain't happening. So basically, what we're going to get is someone off that mould, like, especially if we can't shift Mo. Like, is there anyone else, who's looking to be leaving? Like, because obviously Burnley put in a loan bid apparently for Souček the other day, which was quite funny. Apparently, anyone else looking for the exit door at West Ham?
Yeah, I think they want to move on Rodriguez. They want to move on Aguerd. But they've said with Aguerd that they're only prepared to take an offer that's close to what we paid. Now, from memory, we paid about 30 million for him. So we're going to be looking at about 20 million, which we haven't had the offer for yet. So that's two of them. I think we would. I've forgotten who even plays for us now. It's been so long. I think we would look at Emerson as well. Emerson's got interest from Italy. So if we got probably a 10 million or above offer for him, probably take that. I wouldn't be surprised if we got an offer for Tadibo, they'd take it, but no one's going to offer anywhere near what we paid for him, are they? I mean, we've had the obligation was 35 million. No one's going to pay that. So I wouldn't imagine we'll let him go. Going through the team. Obviously, you're not going to sell Wan-Bissaka. You're not going to sell Bowen. Anyone else, if the right offer came in, they consider it. But I think Kilman will stay. Obviously, our Areola will stay. Ward-Prowse, I can't imagine anyone bidding much for him, so he'll probably stick around. He's not probably a bad person to have around the camp in terms of personality. Is there anyone else I've missed? Irving, we'd probably entertain offers for him, but again, how much are you going to get for him? We barely paid much for him.
See, there's people like James Ward-Prowse, Lewis Guilherme. Like, would they look to ship them out?
Lewis Guilherme's had a lot of interest in him, but a lot of clubs want to loan him. And again, is that beneficial to West Ham to loan him out, or are we better to keep him and see what he can do? We've had Dutch teams come in for him. We've had a couple of other clubs say that they'd make an offer for him. But in my eyes, I think he should be given a chance to West Ham because the glimpses I saw of him, and now we're talking glimpses, I thought there was a player there. So why I would give him a chance. Ward-Prowse, I think will probably stay because we paid 30 million for him. No one's going to pay anywhere near that now, are they? And he's English. He's homegrown, which we need. Having lost Cresswell, having lost Ings was a personality around the place. Shafau and Fabianski, they're all big characters at West Ham. And Ward-Prowse is in that sort of leadership tier when like the analysis at West Ham look at the recruitment and stuff. They look at who fits into what sort of social hierarchy and such, a bit like Football Manager. And they do that. They have a sort of leaders tier. And before Ward-Prowse randomly went to Nottingham Forest, he was considered the potential captain. So I think he would probably stay, but this is all speculation. I don't know until I see what offers come in. But yeah, I think we're looking to sell sort of 3 or 4 players. The main ones being Kudus, Paquetá, Aguerd, Rodriguez would be the main ones. Alvarez, I think we'd take an offer for as well. It was 25, 30 million. I think we'd accept that as well. So yeah. Probably most of them have a price.
Jay, anything else you want to add on? Any questions?
Last question that I would ask to X is, out of all the players that we're linked with, who would you personally like to see us sign?
That's a good question. I like the guy. He's Stroikins. Is that how you pronounce it? I like the look. I like the look of him from the videos I've watched. He looks very creative. Looks like he's the sort of player that fans would enjoy watching. I think he would do a good job for us. I'd like, obviously, McAtee. I think there's a lot of potential in him. Maybe you could see a Cole Palmer situation, and gets himself out of Manchester City and then goes somewhere like West Ham and really, really kicks on. So I like the idea of that sort of young player with potential that can really, really move on and really, really sort of kick on at West Ham and develop into a top class player. But we need, in my eyes, we need so many players. I mean, we need at least one more forward, possibly two. We need probably two. In fact, we need at least another winger. And obviously, if Kudus goes, probably another two. We need at least 2 or 3 central midfielders, probably at least 1 or 2 centre backs, another left back if Emerson goes, cover at right back, cover at goalkeeper. Or first team goalkeeper. I actually would like the Danish keeper at Leicester as well. I think he did really well last year in a very, very poor team. I think he looked good, and I'm not convinced on Areola. So I think he would be good competition. But we're sitting here saying we need 8, 9 players, yet we haven't signed anyone. So that's why fans are getting worried, and hopefully we're all worrying prematurely. And we can sit here in September and think, brilliant, we can kick on now. But obviously,
yeah, I know.
Who knows if that will happen or not? And I'm not sure at this point in time it will.
Lucas, anything else you want to ask X? What?
Oh no, on the transfer front, I'm good. I'm sure I will have many questions from after we lose to United in New Jersey when I watch them. But no, I'm good. I think again, like he said, this just seems like the classic case of wait and see, and we're just gonna have to wait and see because clearly nothing has happened yet. So I'll have a lot more questions after our first friendly. So
I've got a question to round it up. What are you saying about Harvey Elliott, X? Because obviously he's going to be available this summer. Could West Ham lure him if the fee's right, or is he just out of reach for us?
Well, he is someone that we like. I mean, it confirmed that that he's been watched and that he is of interest, and that's someone that Potter would like to bring in. At the moment, the price tag I think is around 35 million, from what I can gather from. Obviously, I'm not a Liverpool ITK, but from just speaking to people in the club and what the general consensus is, and we need to raise that money before we can, and just hope that no other club makes an offer for him that is accepted before we can. I think if we make an offer for him, we would definitely like to sign him. But this is a player in my eyes, and I hate to say it because I'm a massive West Ham fan, but that can probably generate a better placed club than West Ham. I think you'll get clubs in Europe that are after him. I think you'll get clubs in the top end of the table that are after him, and hopefully we'd be able to compete with them. As we've already said on the show, we're not in the same place we were 2 years ago. Hopefully Harvey would be able to look beyond that and think, yeah, I want to come to West Ham. It's a big club. If they get it right, we can kick on there. But, the 2 seasons of not achieving has put us back in a position now where we're not going to be able to compete for the very, very top players. And in my opinion, Harvey Elliott is a great signing for someone. So, yes, I think we'd be interested. Whether we'll be able to get him over the line or not is the question.
Yeah, sad really. 2 years ago, he was great, and now 2 years we're wondering what we're going to sign. You know what I mean? X, I'm going to let you go, mate, because I know you've got to be somewhere at 9 o'clock. But thank you very much for coming on, mate.
No, pleasure to speak to you all, guys. Sorry it was a bit depressing, but hopefully next time you have me on, I have some transfers to talk about. But appreciate the offer of coming on the show. Thank you.
Thank you very much, mate.
Take care, mate. All the best to you. That's been X. He's going to be doing his 9 o'clock thing with Dave on the West Ham Way. So go over and check it out. Before I let Kane come in, anyone else who wants to come in and sort of speak about what was said tonight, by all means, the links there come in. What do you boys make of what he said? Because I'm fucking worried.
I don't know. For me, just from what I heard, has kind of been what I've thought the whole summer going into it. And to be fair, I have been a bit detached because, West Ham are shit. They make me depressed. So I'm trying to not be depressed on such a great summer's day. And right before 4th of July to be my patriotic self and get absolutely blacked out hammered, celebrate this great country. But yeah, it's just a massive wait and see. And again, you can only say that for so long, right? Like, there's such a fine line into it. Like, I'll be honest, if we don't bring in any players before our first preseason match, and I'm considering our first preseason match New Jersey against United. If we don't bring anyone new in there, it is going to be a bit worrying, because I know we still have time to the season, but the one thing I've always had an issue with this club, and it gives me the biggest ick of all time, is not bringing in players for preseason, because preseason to me is so fucking important. It's so underrated. It's so important. Like, I think there's a massive difference between a new player playing 3 preseason matches to 1. And then the training sessions that follow that as well. So that for me is going to be the most annoying part. But again, the fine line between overreacting and just having to wait the days for us to sign someone, it just, I don't know.
I think for me, before I hand it over to Jay and then I'll get Kane on, I'm deeply concerned after what I've heard tonight. Fucking worried. Because these clubs know that West Ham are begging. So they're going to hang about for Kudus. Yeah, I don't think Kudus is going to get done in July. No chance. They know. They know that West Ham are begging for as much money as possible, and Sullivan's put us in this situation. And I don't like to say I told you so, but I fucking knew this was coming. This cunt. I really did. And I kept warning people, and then no one listened to me because they think I'm a fat fucking chav. But now everyone is listening. It's a fucking worrying sign at the minute, and I am deeply concerned. I don't like how we got to keep selling people, and we're trying to flog these people. And there's a comment that I should have read out, and I do apologise. It said, why is Sullivan putting the prices up on all these players when he knows that these players ain't going to go for that value? It makes no sense. Do you know what I'm saying? Jay, what you saying, mate?
Yeah, I'm with you, mate. I'm curious as to, because I'm with Lucas. Like, at what time do you start worrying? Because I'm trying not to worry, but we get halfway through preseason and we're getting slapped around like 3s and 4s, and we haven't signed a player. It's gonna be scary. And I like the romantic idea that you can bring these youth players in and replace the squad players that we've lost, or you can bring them in and they can improve what we've got. But being realistic, that's not how it works. You've got to get some players who can come in and make an impact and have those youth players alongside them. So, yeah, we need to get some signings done pretty quickly.
Let's go get to this quickly before I let Kane speak. Guys, would you rather gain muscle or gain acres? Is that? Or don't know what it is?
I'm assuming.
Muscle for me.
Give me some Dumbo ears.
Yeah.
Because I'm feeling very aerodynamic at the moment.
I know, mate. Kane, what you saying, mate?
Good evening, guys. Lucas, I'm loving the trim. Nice haircut, looking fresh there, young man.
Thank you,
and I'd like to, just firstly say what lovely weather we're having. I mean, it's been absolutely fantastic. Wouldn't you agree, U20? Wouldn't that put a smile on your face?
It's lovely weather. But we're talking about West Ham, mate. What the fuck is that about?
Thank you to the chat as well for all the compliments. They did not go unnoticed.
W chat.
What's there really to talk about? I mean, look, if we're talking financials, which no one knows what they're talking about, and
you're the perfect man to talk about it, Kane, to be fair.
Yeah. So I just turned down. I've got Wimbledon. I just turned that down. So 2 seconds. Well, look, I'm not surprised. I mean, I don't know what the loss is, and our next set of accounts that ends today.
Pull up the spreadsheet, mate, please.
I could probably work it out, but it's just too sunny outside. But I'm not surprised they're probably thinking we want to flog these players, get our books in order. Obviously, what's worth noting is we haven't sold anyone today, so we're not desperate. We're not like Aston Villa, who were selling their women's team apparently, to comply with PSR. But I'm not really surprised we're selling to buy at the moment.
But they're selling, though, Kane. But they're selling to Spurs.
Well, this is the thing. This is the thing. What do we really do with Kudus right now? We want to sell him. He doesn't really want to be here. And it doesn't. And the thing is, you mentioned about clubs knowing that we want to sell him. All it takes is one to pull the trigger, and it looks like Spurs are pulling the trigger now. So if someone else does want him, that means they're going to have to take action. So I think it's good news. I obviously don't want to see him play for Spurs, and as soon as he puts a Spurs shirt on and starts ripping it up, I'll obviously be gutted. But I mean, look, if it's the only club we can send him to, sometimes you've got to take a shit sandwich.
I just think it's unacceptable, mate. Like for me, I look at it like this: when it comes to Spurs, is you just don't sell to Spurs. Like, and the fact of the matter is what he's going to go for dirt cheap, because Levy ain't going to drop the money that Sullivan wants, and
Is it
it's
dirt
just going
cheap?
to play the
60
game.
mil? 60 mil's not dirt cheap. I mean, it's a failure on the club that we're not triggering the release clause, because, like, you go back to last summer and we were like, well, we're going to force this guy out on the left and it's just going to look shit. Didn't quite think how desperately bad it would be for him this season. But 60 mil is not, that's not cheap, is it? And we've sold players to Spurs. It's not great. I didn't like Scott Parker going there. But, look at bloody Arsenal and Chelsea. Arsenal seem to buy all the Chelsea players all the time.
I feel the same way. Like, the shit sandwich theory is correct in my opinion. Like, I would absolutely hate it, but if we were to somehow swindle like 60, 65 out of them, I know it'd be humiliating. Nobody has to tell me that. But, like, if we are in this dire need to sell, to buy, I'm not going to say we almost don't have a choice, but, like, if we're really sticking and crying wolf to that, me personally, I don't know what else we can do. Because, again, like I said at the very beginning, in a perfect world ultimatum, this choice or that choice, I would rather keep Kudus. I don't want to see him in lily white. He would look shit.
We shouldn't be in this situation in the first place. I think what more is the problem is West Ham are in this situation currently right now. Now, we shouldn't, as fans, and I'm going to speak to everyone as a fan, even if they fucking like me or don't like me, whatever. But as supporters of this club, we should not be in this situation currently right now. But we are.
Do you think Villa should be in the situation they're in?
I think what it is with Villa is they've got ambitious owners, and they've pumped a lot of money into that club.
So I agree with you there, but I think we spent a lot of money. I think the issue is strategy rather than what we spend. But in reality is, if they're asset stripping, I mean, that's a big thing, isn't it, for you guys?
Yeah, but what it is, we're in a situation, Kane, that we need a new spine of our side. We need a striker, we need midfielders, we need defenders, we need a goalkeeper. That is a lot to do in one window. And the thing is,
sorry, James. Here's a question then, because on that point, would you then accept if West Ham decided to sell their ladies' team to fund this transfer window?
Who's that, to me?
Yeah.
Say that again. You cut out.
Sorry. Would you accept if West Ham did what Villa are doing and decided to sell their ladies' team to fund this transfer window?
Sexist pig.
It wouldn't be right, would it? But I'm not being funny. I don't want to be rude, but I don't really care about the ladies' side. That doesn't bother me. West Ham, like, men's side is a lot more important. It brings in a lot more money. And that's the first thing. And at the end of the day, like, if we go down, we're fucked. It's as simple as that. And that's the worry. And this is what I was saying all last year. And I was saying to you boys that, like, look at the way he's treating the fans now, Sullivan. Like, he's basically saying, you know what, we will sell to fucking anyone. And that just tells me what I need to know.
I think every team needs to sell players at some point to generate profit. I think that's just what PSR is requires you to do, unless you're huge with huge revenues and turnovers, right? But the problem is that it was a shit show last window, and that's what I think this is the problem, and this is where I think the criticism should go to, is we scattergun the hell out of a window, and none of the players benefit from it. The only player that looked good really was Bowen. You could argue Wan-Bissaka.
Yeah.
So we can't sell these players. We want a whole brand new team as well, just because of how poor that window is.
Point.
So my anger isn't with this window right now. I completely understand it, and I'm more than happy to grit the teeth and maybe learn lessons. I'm not saying we will. Than what the hell we did that summer. I think not just Styling. I think all of them. I don't know what it was absolutely brain dead. So I think the reality is we're in a situation because of our own doing, and I'm at peace with right now. And I'm at peace with it.
And it's consistent because I'll be honest, we go around the league. I swear to God, and this could just be because I'm a West Ham supporter, but I swear to you, there's no other club like us who buys, and we cannot sell an asset on for any sort of profit. We are shit at it. And like Kane said, last window is huge into this one, because what did we do? How we bought how many players? Greatest window ever, right?
Yeah,
but we can't even sell on any of these players.
I'm gonna stop you right there. I'm gonna stop you right there. First things first. The other week there was a 90 million injection of funds from the ownership of this club. Where's that gone? West Ham should not be in this situation. And as fans, we can all sit there. Where's that come from, right? That's been out there, mate. That's been out there. That's been mentioned. What do you mean? Well, basically that if West Ham can't sell these players by a set date.
Oh, if. So it's not happened.
Yeah, but if they can't sell them by a set date, so the ownership have got a set date on Aguerd, Alvarez.
Sounds like bollocks to us.
Right. Well, it does make a bit of sense to a point, because if West Ham don't sell no players by the end of July, then we're fucked. They're gonna have to inject money in.
What happens when you sell a player? You don't just get the transfer in your bank, do you? It just sounds like nonsense to me.
Obviously not, but Sullivan and Kudinsky have got to up the ante here.
Yeah, we don't disagree with that, but what I'm saying, and what I think Kane is also trying to say, I could be wrong. I mean, the situation from last summer is just it piles onto it. It doesn't help at all. We're not saying one problem is bigger than the other, because I think we can all agree the one constant is Sullivan. But I mean, we just keep shooting ourselves in the foot. We have the greatest window ever, supposedly, and we can't even get rid of these great players that we got. And we're in general, we're already shit at selling players anyway. So again, just came off an incredible season apparently in La Liga, and we're still gonna take a loss on him. So I mean, we're just shit.
I don't know on this one.
On that, we've got Bayer Leverkusen and Juventus looking at Nathan Aguerd, and we can't get a bid out of one of them. How is this a world that we're living in? We need to sell players. You've got a centre-back who's hot proper in European football, 2 successful European clubs that both want him, and we still cannot figure out how to get someone to buy him. It's baffling. We are so bad at selling players. That is the main reason that we're in this. I agree, last transfer window, the poor purchasing of players was there, but we have forever been bad at selling players. I don't remember the last time we bought a player, sold him for a good profit, and it was good business by us. I just don't know when we did it. So that's a big reason why we're in this.
I still think the Paqueta situation has come back to haunt us.
Yeah.
If you want me to be honest, when we all thought he was on his way to fucking City, and he got pulled, and that fell through. That was the moment where I went, oh, for fuck's sake, right? And my worry is next season, right? Not so much this season, because I know what's coming. It's going to be an hard season, right? We've got to stay in the league. Yeah, people think it's going to be easy, right? But these teams coming up, they're going to give it a good go. They're going to be a lot more competitive than the teams that went down last season. My issue is that if we owe money next season for like PSR or whatever, is Bowen up on offer? Because that will be the end game, right? That would be the one where you go, you know what, that's enough now, right? It shouldn't be like this, and it's like this because the owner has fucking gone down the road of taking the piss, and he hasn't put no money into this club for a long time. Yeah, someone messaged me the other week and said to me, he hasn't injected any money, James, since 2014. This is the owner of our club. Do you know what I'm saying? So I do think West Ham fans need to come together and say, no, this is unacceptable. Do you know what I mean? We should not be going to Spurs with a fucking begging bowl saying, Mohamed Kudus, please sign him so we can go and sign some players. How embarrassing is that? It's embarrassing. And we're better than this. I'm going to say it. We are fucking better than this. Do you know what I mean? The owner, I'm going to say this before I let Kane land on anything else he wants to say, yeah? But this owner needs to fuck off. Simply needs to fuck off down the road and out of here, right? And I've been saying it for the last fuck knows how many years since I've been doing this game. And I won't stop. I will not stop until he's fucking gone. Either I'm going to die or he's going to die. One of us are going to die, and I'm hoping to outlive that cunt. So, you know, we've got to see it for what it is, right? The way we are being right now is we are destined for fucking relegation. We can't sign no players. You heard what X said there. We can't sign no one until we sell.
A bit strong.
I don't know, Lucas, on this one. When you look at the West Ham's squad currently right now, there is a lot of stuff. There's a lot of issues.
I agree, but just because there's other squads around us signing players, that doesn't necessarily equal betterment. Like, I get what you're saying.
Who has Sunderland? Have they even signed anyone? Everton have signed no one. No one signed anyone.
Well,
no
the
one
fan
actually
base-
signed before the 30th of
Brentford
June.
just hired a set piece fucking coach as their manager, so I think we're in a better position.
I don't know, mate. I don't know.
Oh, come on. They just hired a set piece coach as their manager. No
Yeah,
way.
but you know,
James, no one's bought anyone apart from like Liverpool and stuff. And they don't spend
Burnley-
money. They didn't spend any money last. Oh, but who Burnley bought?
Burnley have signed some players. Some of them just bought
Who?
that. Geezer from
Oh, that left
Feyenoord.
back. Who
Yeah.
cares?
Sunderland have just bought the geezer that we was all raving about. That Michael's just brought it in there.
That's fine. But again, the point is, I think destined.
Oh, they were raving about it for like
destined's
1
a
week.
strong word.
No,
He's good,
I'll
to
tell
be
you. I'll tell you what it is. Right, it's not so much us signing players because I think we will sign players. It's
Yeah,
the
exactly.
time. It's the time that we're going to sign players. That's the problem. Right, the season starts in 6 weeks' time. And that's mad. When I say that, that's quite frightening.
No,
In
I can agree with you. That the timing normally is always shit with us.
Yeah. And the
But-
thing is, West Ham can't be starting a transfer window come August 31st.
Agreed.
They can't.
The thing is, and this goes back to the last window as well. We want to get rid of a lot of these players. Every fan seems to agree. We don't like these players. We want them replaced. We don't. The worst thing we could do is have a load of players and then still can't flog some of these guys. And then got like we've already got well. I know, to be fair, we've got rid of about 4 players out of contract now, haven't we? But our squad last season was definitely too big because like we had so many players on the bench like for no reason. With people like Andy Irvin there, just some NPC for God's sake. So I do understand it that you want to get rid of someone and replace them with someone better, someone more for the future, or whatever. So the situation we're in is just crap because we were absolute morons last summer. Like I couldn't believe what we did.
True. Jay, anything you want to add on, mate?
Not really. Like you guys have covered it all. It's. I don't think I'm with Lucas. I don't think destined for relegation is the shout, but I don't think we're far off. Like I don't expect if you offered me another 14th place finish based on what I think we're going to put together in this transfer window, I'll probably take it just to be like, look, a season where we know that we're safe. I'll probably take it just to try and get.
Can
through.
I ask you a question on that?
Go on.
On why you think we're not destined for relegation when we need major surgery, like major.
I think we will sign some players. I think that is without a doubt. I think the gap between the Championship and the Premier League has never been bigger. Like we've seen that in the last couple of seasons. No disrespect to like Burnley, but they come up and go back down quite regularly. Sunderland, did they do back-to-back promotions, or they weren't far off back-to-back promotions?
Yeah.
But they've signed one good player. That's never normally enough for teams that come up. I'm just not convinced by the teams that are coming up. I think by
Leeds as well. Leeds. They've been leapfrogging a bit, but for me, they're always like my one. Like when they do get promoted, I think they will stay up, but they don't. But I don't know. I'm sorry to cut you off, Jay, but I do think that the gap is still there, and I think, albeit the quality, while we might not have the greatest quality, I think our quality at the end will be enough compared to the others. But again, that's not me trying to say like we're shooting to stay up. It will be a fight.
We were absolutely. We were like so rubbish last season. We even was like that rubbish. We were shackling Jared Bowen, making him like on the touchline. We were doing all sorts of hilarious stuff last season. 42 points. Like this league is not serious. I'm not that stressed about going down.
I heard there was a comment in there from someone who had said that would you go down if it meant Sullivan and Brady left? It's a tough question, but we shouldn't be putting that dilemma. That's the real thing.
Championship away days, sign me up.
Yeah, but it's not. This is the thing. This is what does me right. It really grinds me. Is that our mentality's just gone down the Kermit, literally gone down the fucking road. Like we were once like competing for like top 10, like top 7 at some stages. Let's have it right. We got to a quarter final.
Yeah, look, X made the point like we should have cracked on after the trophy, and in some ways we did. We were sick when our fans went absolutely crazy, started crying every week, hounded out Moyes, made everything toxic. So if they want to cry about it, they chose this risk at the end of the day. They chose to do this. They chose to make Jim Stein his gods and Moyes his villains. Like, you know what I mean? Shut up, some of them.
Right, I'm gonna let Kane go. Kane, see you later on, mate.
Thank you.
Good evening, guys.
Thanks, Kane.
Right, I just want to get this man in. So, Daddy, fire away what you want to say. You got 3 minutes, son.
Okay. You guys were mentioning we've been terrible for selling forever. Let's go through the reasons why that is. Firstly, our owner, he's constantly pleading poverty. So you know what happens? Teams lowball us. They lowball us because they know we're going to sell. Jay mentioned with Aguerd, Leverkusen and Juventus not bidding yet. They can wait till the end of the transfer window. They know we're going to need to sell later in this window, so why bid now? Just let that situation be. And with Kudus, I'm sorry. If he goes to Spurs, it's not going to be for 60 mil. It's going to be for 50 to 55 million because we're going to get lowballed because our owner is pleading fucking poverty. He's a fucking clown.
True. It's true what he's saying. I'm just letting him land. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, and there were reports the other week that like 15% of the transfer bids we get in are not going to be spent on. Like the club are just going to keep some of the transfer money. So if we sell Kudus for like 50 mil, we're going to spend like 40 mil of that. We are fucked. We are so lucky that clubs like Burnley and Leeds and Sunderland exist. Because we are terribly run. Jay was talking about he'd take a 14th. I'd take a 17th place finish next season. Give me 17th place right now. Just keep us in the league. That's how fucked we are. And
I agree.
And James, no. And people saying we won't go for Calvert-Lewin. I'm gonna say this right now. We're not gonna sign anyone before the first game of the season. Our first game of the season, we're gonna have a similar lineup to what we did at the end of next season. No new players. That's where we are. And who are we gonna sell? Clubs can wait till the end of the transfer window with us. They know we need the money, so why would they bid right now to help us? They can just wait. We'll be in this situation August 25th. We need Aguerd sold, Kudus sold, Paqueta sold. When you constantly plead poverty, teams are going to take advantage of us.
Do you know what? You get a lot of stick, son. But I'm going to be honest. I completely agree. Right? And someone just says there, man, get this guy off. He's talking absolute bollocks. He's actually talking fact. Yeah, Sullivan's fucked us up. We're pleading poverty to fucking Spurs, right? We're gonna have to deal with them cunts down at fucking North London, right? Cheering about being champions of fucking Europe, and then they're gonna nick one of our best players. So, Daddy, I'm gonna have to let you go, bruv. All right, I'm gonna have to let you go. I'll catch up with you soon, mate. All right. Let's get this final geezer in, and we all know who he is. Richard.
I appreciate that stellar introduction. Gents, what's going on?
Great trim, Rich.
Thank you.
Hell, mate. Fucking haircuts are us on E20 Zone TV. Right.
Yeah, sure.
What do you did you hear what X said first off?
About no, I've not. Fill me in.
Basically, we ain't signing anyone until we sell, and it looks like Mo is more than likely going to be Spurs bound.
I think we knew that was going to happen. Likely, I think there were some moments of, we got loads of fucking dosh. The thing is, Sullivan got burnt last summer by. I'm not coming to his defense. I think the whole club did, right? But we massively overspent last summer, and these are unfortunately for whatever reason, it might have been Sullivan's fault, probably is Sullivan's fault, as we've discussed before. There is unfortunately consequences, and the consequence for last summer's overspending, dramatic overspending on a load of garbage, is going to be the loss of one of our best players. I think the reality is we're trying to get a quick sale so we can buy in some better players. It's sad that Mo has to go. But look, if he performs next season like he did this season, we could well get relegated. You know, this was meant to be our main man, or at least one of them. And he's disappointed, you know. So I'm not saying I'm not going to be disappointed to lose him, but we're not selling Bowen to Spurs. You know, this is a little bit of optimism, because I will be disappointed, because he's clearly shown he's a fantastic talent in football. I think he'll be a fantastic one day. But last season, was he fantastic for us? You know, it's hard to say.
Is he a bad player?
Definitely not.
Has he had a bad season?
Yeah. Could he have another bad season though? If we don't change around him, probably.
Yeah.
And you know, I think always his problem coming in, and you know, we spent a lot of money on a left-footed right winger, when our best player was a left-footed right winger, and you know, we've sort of stuck him on the left, but I think his attitude towards playing in that position, at least for our club, has been at times. I mean, I don't want to be too harsh on the lad; he's not gone anywhere, but at times embarrassing, frankly. And you know, I understand it as a player, you want to play in your best position, but really, you know, if you're really determined and committed to the badge, you go wherever the manager asks you to do. And he's not always done that, I think, at points. So I don't want to.
I disagree on that.
I
disagree on that comment right there, what you just said, because people fucking moaned about putting Bowen up front. It ain't his natural position. You're not getting the best out of him.
But I tell you, James, who didn't moan at any point, and I don't know if you two would agree with me. Tell you who didn't moan at any point, Jarrod Bowen. You know, and that's the difference there, right? That's the kind of
us moaning and him moaning are complete two different things.
I disagree on that. I really do, because what it is, like, Kudus was on the left for quite a lot last year. He had two managers. He had a manager that didn't know what the fuck he was doing. No players in West Ham's side last year was amazing. Let's have it right. Bowen had in and out spells, right? He was the standout with Wan-Bissaka and Souček. 3, right? The rest of them weren't worth a time of day. Yeah. So I just think people get a bit giddy with Kudus, but I don't think he's a bad player.
No,
him going to Spurs is the biggest insult that you could ever give. But it's an insult to every West Ham fan all around the world. Now, someone said it to me today, funny enough. They go, it doesn't bother me if he goes to Spurs. Well, you asked anyone who's based in fucking London. Because I know a lot of Spurs fans and a lot of Spurs mates, and they're going to be fucking all over us like a tramp on fucking chips.
I don't disagree.
Right? And they're going to love it, right? Especially if they nab him for a knockoff fee. Because that's what it's going to be.
Well, what in your view is a knockoff fee?
Well, let's have it right. And this is what came out the other week. Now, I'm not just saying stuff. 75% of the transfer of Mohamed Kudus we're going to get. So if it's 50 mil, I think it's 37.5 million. That's what we're going to get for a transfer fee. I don't know. But it come out the other day that not all the money is going to go towards the transfers.
Maybe profit on top. I don't know.
Maybe Owens from other deals. Maybe
I'd be surprised if we sold him for 50 million quid. Although I am also of the view, you know, you talk about knockoff price. I think it would be a rip-off price. I'd be interested to hear your two thoughts as well. If we sold him for 85 million quid, you know, I don't think we were ever going to get that money for him.
To me, after the season he had, and I totally agree. I'm in the boat where, like, he's great for us when he came in. And did he have a shit season last year? Yes, he did. But that doesn't mean he's a shit player. But in my opinion, factoring that in, anything under like £60 million for me would be an absolute disgrace on our part.
That's the most we've ever sold a player for by a country mile, you know, on the other side of the coin.
It It can't be. Like, honestly, I can't believe how people have just gone like, you know what? Yeah, we'll just accept this. I really can't. Like, the old narrative of West Ham is you don't sell to Spurs. That's one thing you don't do.
James, what can we do, mate? You know, it's all well and good.
I'll tell you what it is, right? I'll tell you what it is.
Better to wrap your head around it.
Yeah, right. But the problem is, people know that this is bad, but they're accepting it. And it's like empathy. Like, they're just gone, you know what, we're just going to go through the motions now because this is how it happens at West Ham.
Yeah, but a lot of people say they'll protest and do something, but they do fuck all.
Yeah, but the problem is the damage is already done, gents.
The word is apathy, right? And I agree. I am slightly apathetic so far because partly, look, it's off season, right? This is a player as well who I've seen do fuck all season, just moan and mope about. Pretty much, honestly, I can't think of a single game where he's not moped at some point in it. Right. So, you know, you talk about fans having apathy. Well, it's hard to get out of my feet, out of my seat and go, Mo Kudus is the greatest West Ham player I've ever seen. We cannot sell him. What I agree with you there is I'm also with you. You know, I'm a bit of the old school view. We can't be selling players to Spurs. But look, if they're the only fuckers paying the money, then give us the dosh. What's more important now is we're signing some players. If Sullivan ain't going to spend the money, we know what he's like. Right. And if we need to sell someone, fine. If Spurs are the highest bidder and we're selling Mo Kudus, I'll sleep. You know?
Well, let's get this man in. We might as well do double bubble. AD Lads turned up. You know what I mean? He's been AWOL and he's back. Take it away, mate.
How are you lads doing? First of all, I just wanted to check on you guys. It's been a while. And again, it's not so good, is it? I don't know what you guys make of it. What do you guys make of the whole thing? I just, I mean, we're just waiting now to see what happens, to be honest. There's really nothing going on, and it's sad news. So, I mean, we're desperate right now, aren't we, for something positive to come out? I saw the rumor yesterday of the German midfielder. I don't know how to pronounce his name exactly, but I was kind of excited about that, and that got rubbished as well. So, I mean, speaking of Kudus, I think I said it even before the season ended that if we had to sell Kudus, I wouldn't be opposed to that. I think Kudus for me is one of those players that, I mean, does anyone know what Kudus's best position is? For instance, I think it's on the right flank where Jared Bowen plays, and unfortunately, we can't really get the best out of him, which means that as long as we make enough money from him, and we go and get our targets, that's good enough. But it shouldn't even come to this, honestly. We should just be going out, signing our targets. But the fact that we have to wait to sell first and then buy our targets, for me, is really disappointing.
Gentlemen, Jay, Lucas, anything you read on to AD?
I've got a question for AD because you're a big Graham Potter fan. What do you think is realistic as a finish for West Ham next season under Graham Potter?
I can't tell you right now because I've got to see who we bring in and who we get rid of. It all depends on that. So, I mean, first game of the season, before the first game of the season, I'll have a good idea of that. But at this moment, I mean, we don't even know who's going to stay, who's going to go. It all depends on that. Look, but as of right now, it doesn't look promising at all. I don't think there's not a single West Ham fan that's optimistic about next season at this moment. But we definitely need some signings. There's no doubt about that. We definitely need a lot of signings. I would say at least 4 to 5 players, in my opinion.
I think you're being kind. I think we need
actually. Yeah.
I think we need a spine of a side. Goalkeeper, centre halves. I think we need a whole new midfield. I think we need at least 2 strikers at this club.
I agree.
We need a whole, like Ray says it there, a whole new team.
Didn't we do all that last summer?
I don't know about that though, right? Because last summer there was many players that we bought that really shouldn't have bought, right? And one of them, X said on there earlier on about Guilherme, that there's been loan offers for him, and he's potentially could be one of the ones who's going to be at the door. Like, why? The question is why are we in this situation when we shouldn't be in this situation? Not when you're renting a stadium for £5 million a year, and you built a side up And now we've got one asset left, and that's Bowen. That's fucking worrying. I'm telling you that now. Like, what happens if next year we need to balance the books again? Was Bowen out the fucking door next year and all? You know,
dangerous, isn't it? Like this is how Wolves are run. Wolves sell their best 2 players every single season because behind the scenes, I don't know. I don't know enough about Wolves, but all I see from where we sit is, well, Wolves' 2 best players leave every summer for a combined fee of between 100 and 130 mil, and they sign cheaper players, and that is just how they remain sustainable. It's just by selling assets, just by selling players. So it's a dangerous place to be, but you would hope that, given the difference between the 2 clubs, given the amount of revenue West Ham are capable of bringing in, you would hope that we take some pain in this transfer window and that we don't have to necessarily take the pain next transfer window. But that relies on us being run in a more smart way going forward. And we know that under the current ownership, we are not run in a smart way in any way whatsoever. So the potential is there if we take the pain in this transfer window. It's just, can we capitalize on it?
We're just going to have to come to grips that we could have some Indonesian Super League player playing in the midfield for us next season.
I say bring.
I mean, who was the last player we sold who our fans were keen on and were like, please don't sell this guy? It doesn't happen very often with this ownership. They do.
You know why?
Players.
Because it feels like no one ever really like truly appreciates most of our players, I'd say.
I get what Rich is saying there, because I was having to think when he said it, right? Other than Dec, right? Obviously, Declan Rice was always going to go, but usually we do sell players really like when they're fucking had enough. Do you know what I'm saying? The issue is why are we in this situation to do that? That's the problem that I've got with it. Yeah, listen, they're selling Mo. Fair enough, right? You want to sell Mo, fine. You want to go and get the money in, but you've put yourself in such a situation now that teams know what the crack is with West Ham. And you heard X tonight. I've go back and fucking watch it, right? So he ain't lying. He basically turned around and said we have to sell first before we buy. That's why there's no links out there. We're getting linked with so many people, and I'm going to say this. I'll stress to anyone who's on social media right now, don't believe the links, because it ain't happening until we sell Mohamed Kudus, basically. Mohamed Kudus is the money earner at West Ham. He's the one that's going to generate the funds for West Ham to go out and buy 2, 3, 4 players. But with the flip side of that is selling to fucking Spurs, which I think is just totally. I think there's so many reasons on it. It's totally disrespectful to West Ham fans. Like you're basically strengthening our rivals and a team that we've never done business with. I think you're insulting everyone really to a point by going there with the begging bowl, and they're going to have the ammunition now to say, "Look what we've got one of your best players." Do you know what I mean?
West Ham Legion. Can I posit a question to you all? My question here is: let's say Spurs. By the way, he's not joined the club. We're just seeing edits of him in a Spurs shirt. You know, all they're doing is trying to communicate their interests. It's like when you press on Football Manager, interested for top transfer. You know what I mean? Declare interest. My to try and unsettle the player, you know, drive the price down, etc. My question for you all here: if Spurs were willing to pay, let's say, £7-8 million, maybe even £10 million more than another club, would you be comfortable selling to Spurs? For that extra on top, I could live with it.
I posed that same question earlier, and I think that is incredibly tough. Like if you said Spurs slap 70 on the table, I would not be the one. I wouldn't want to be the one at the table to say yes or no, because that would weigh on my mind. I'd have mental warfare.
I think the key thing and the difference between because I agree with what James is saying, but I also agree with if you're negotiating from a position of power and you've got other offers, but Spurs go, we'll make you an offer you can't refuse. I've got a lot more time for that than I have selling at a bargain price to Spurs.
Yeah.
Like we should not be doing discount deals to sell a player to Spurs.
But what's a bargain price though for you?
Look, this 50 million. So here's the kind of thing that I was touching on earlier, right?
Yeah.
Is this £50 million inquiry bid, whatever you want to call it?
We could keep him and sell him next season for that, in my opinion. So
Exactly.
there's no point.
You could send him in January.
Yeah. But like, if I'd class 50 million as this like bargain deal, right? But at the same time, my fear is this is the only inquiry that we get, because as we've been talking about, Sullivan has advertised to the world and his nan and his dog that we need to sell before we can actually sign anybody in the transfer window, which is the worst possible way that you can negotiate. Tell someone I'm desperate to sell this thing, they're obviously going to lowball you, right? But because of that, we might just not see any bids come in other than this classic Daniel Levy offer of, well, here's a way out that he knows is undervalued. He knows that is a bid that's too low, but it's a pretty standard negotiating tactic. If nobody else now comes in, that £50 million looks a lot more tempting, and that is not an acceptable amount to accept, in my opinion. Whereas if a bidding war starts and that bid gets up to 60 mil and then Spurs go, we want him, here's 70, I think that's reasonable. I think that's perfectly reasonable. Then I've got no issue.
Sullivan's trying to do what he done with Declan Rice. He's trying to advertise Mo like he did with Dec. But the problem is with Dec was always going to go and get sold. Whereas Mo is being touted around all the big six, and no one's really touching him. They're looking at people like Umbremo and Alanga and all that. That's a worry for me, because these teams will know that Mo's there as a backup option if they can't get their prime target.
Whereas you compare it to Brentford, for instance, and they've come out today, you know, their owner said, look, he'll probably stay at Brentford at the current rate, you know, position of power. I mean, you look at there, and you said it, both of you there, you look at the three players I can think of who West Ham have sold for money who were loved across the fan base, right? In terms of three good players that we sold. Number one, Dimitri Payet in 2017, was it, right? That January window, you had the manager coming out basically saying, we've got a situation with player, we can only sell him to one club. Maybe that's out of Sullivan's hands, but could have sold him anywhere in the French league maybe, but he's only going to one club, he's refusing to train, fucking hell, have him, 27 million quid, and we'll spend the money on Robert Snodgrass. And Jordan Hugo as well, apologies.
King
did he come the season
Respect,
after?
Jordan.
I can't remember, yeah.
I just wanted to, sorry.
And then the second
on.
one, just quickly, the second one, Declan Rice. You were saying that, it's what he did with Declan Rice to get the money up. Declan Rice, the minimum price for him was always going to be 100 million quid. The one where he fucked it was he was like, shook Declan Rice's hand and went, yeah, if Arsenal come in for 100 million quid and you want to go there, yeah, you can go, mate. You can go. You know, and it's classic Sullivan on the three occasions. And like this one here, we've got no money. We're completely skinned. We're desperate. I mean, what kind of strategy is that? You know, this bloke is meant to be an astute operator, a billionaire or near on. I mean, it's fucking...
Let's remember how he made that money, though. He's not the
well, clearly.
Clearly. I was just going to say, I mean, we all talk about strengthening Spurs, but as a joke, I mean, the way Kudus played last season, I don't know if we're actually strengthening them. I think this is a secret tactic for us to weaken them. With the way Mo played last season. I'm just messing around, by the way. I don't mean that.
It's the problem is, right, they're selling Mo, fine. They're selling to Spurs. I don't agree with that at all. I think you're taking the piss, really, out of the fans by doing that. Yeah. Nevertheless, some fans are like, well, we're going to accept it. All right, we accept it for what it is because we're going to get the money. Fine. The issue is that we're in a situation where we can't sign no one because we need to sell, and no one's coming in and really making a concrete bid for any of our players. But no one's come in and really looked here and put a bid in that we're going to accept, and that is the problem, and that's why transfers are stalling.
Yeah,
and that's the worry. Yeah,
the thing is, you, James, from earlier, 10 million quid extra to Spurs. Would you sell Kudus to Spurs?
I would.
I just don't think it's the right. I think it's an insult.
Would you? Yes or no?
I don't think I would, mate. I really. I don't think.
We need the funds. We need the funds.
Fans collide, innit? You know.
Yeah, but the way I look at it is that if you're not going to do business with a club, you can't go with the begging bowl. You simply can't. You can't go to to Tottenham and go, "Oh, please sign our player," because no other fucker wants him. Like that's taking the piss out of us.
There's basically two options here. Number one is we sell Kudus, we get 60 million, let's say, and we go and sign our own players. The second option is we don't sell Kudus and we don't sign any players. I don't want that second situation, because then we are basically left with pretty much the same squad, and the last thing we want to do is go into next season with the same team. So I'd rather Spurs get Kudus, and then we go and get our targets and we become better as a team. Who cares about Spurs? We get better as a team. That should be our focus.
We ain't going to get. I don't believe we are going to get better as a team.
And what he just said, real quick, that for me, I would start to feel the same way as you. If we obviously didn't bring anyone in, say we brought in like 3 players, I would then start to share the same feeling as you. Like, wow, we're definitely going to be in this shit next season. Because while I do believe, my mindset is, oh, there's no way it can get worse than what we saw last season. It can.
It can. Yeah. And the thing is, right, people's attitudes will soon change with the signings that are made.
Also,
if we bring in, just for argument's sake, we bring in Dominic Calvert-Lewin, you think the fan base are going to be on that? Because they're not. Yeah. If we bring in like these sort of makeshift loan transfers or free transfers, it's my argument is, and I always stand on this, is why are we in this situation? Listen,
because of last summer, but we'll have to be signing these free players if we don't get some money in. You know, we're gonna have to start getting.
That's why Calvert-Lewin's on the cards, mate.
Yeah. And so maybe that's what happens if we don't sell Kudus. I do think, regardless, we'll sign some players. It's about the quality of the window. I'm very much of the view of these boys here. I think clearly it was a total fuck up last summer, total mess this season, and right now with the current team, there's nothing to say it won't be exactly the same. We do need a rebuild, and unfortunately, it's going to probably involve selling one of our best players, because we can't do a Newcastle and sell off, some academy grads for 70 million quid like they did with Anderson and the other winger to Brighton, was it? We don't seem to have that available to sell, and Guillaume ain't going to, get 25 million quid. So, it's where we are because, again, of years of underinvestment in the youth, maybe not signing in these smart buys over the years. I don't know. Whatever the case, we're fucked. I fucking hate Spurs. Yeah, so fuck them. But listen, this is shit, so no stress.
Peculiar situation.
I've kept saying that. I mean, the reason we are where we are today is because it's a culmination of the last few transfer windows we have had, which have been a disaster. And today we are sitting over here with a bunch of players who aren't valued high enough. And we're sitting with one player who is valued high enough, and we have to sell him, unfortunately. That's been a combination of the poor work that has been done throughout the transfer windows, the last few ones. I mean, the only one that we can hold our head up and say was a really good signing from last season was probably Wan-Bissaka. The rest of them were injured or not in form, or some of them were overpaid. And really, I just feel, I feel sad for, unfortunately, the team and the fans going into next season, because really, I don't see any positivity. Also, I wanted to add one more thing. If we don't sell Kudus, then we really have an unhappy player playing with us next season. I mean, that's the last thing we want, which is a player that doesn't really want to wear the shirt and go out there and play for the club. I mean, if he wants to leave the club, then I think we should be selling him, and wherever we get the most amount of money from, we should just sell him there. It's just as simple as that for me.
Yeah. I'll let AD go. Take care, man. All the best.
Thanks, mate.
Any final words from you boys?
I think I would say I'm not panicking yet, but I'm not far from panicking. I'm trying to remain calm. I'm not going to have a James level head loss. I'm trying to stave that off, but I don't think it's far off.
I'm not too entirely into predictions or trying to see things later down the road. I'm more of a guy that I'm going to deal with it when it happens. And as right now, the news that we have, I still think it's just a little bit early. For all we know, a week, maybe 2 weeks before they set sail for New Jersey, Chicago, and wherever else, we could bring in 2-3 players for preseason. But again, I'm not into predicting. I'm not into false hope. I'm just not even going to put any of this into my head. Once we play that first preseason match, the fitness match or whatever we're playing in Austria, whatever, then it will start to set in a bit. Like if we don't get any new players, like, yeah, this is going to get a bit shit. But I'm gonna worry about that when I get there. I got 4th of July to think about.
First off, I want to thank everyone who's been in the chat. Don't forget to smash a like on the video. Right, that's the first thing on that. I also want to thank X for coming on and giving me his time. I've been speaking to X for a while, and like been chatting about different things. For me, there's so many issues here. Yeah, and I think this is just the beginning of a major fucking bubble bursting at West Ham. I really do. I'm saying it with my hand on my heart. I'm not even going to get aggressive about it. I've been saying this for a long time. He's brewing up, and he's going to kick off somewhere down the road. I don't agree with selling Kudus, like, and if you're selling him, yeah, you should have a plan in place, and there's no plan at the minute. It's like we can't sell this geezer, and teams know it, and we're going around with the begging bowl. This ownership needs to look at themselves. Kudinski needs to look at himself. Like, what is this? Like, do you want to be a part of West Ham, or are you here for the financial gain? If you're here for the financial fucking money, just tell us. Tell us. Because, you know, like, I don't get what they want other than the pound note. I think the attitude changes on the signings, if you want me to be honest. Whether signings come in, right, it will depend on the signings. Now, for instance, if we bring in a James McAtee or a Harvey Elliott, I think the fan base is uplifted. I think they look at it and think a bit more positive. If we bring in a fucking Dominic Calvert-Lewin or a Callum Wilson, which wouldn't surprise me, West Ham, the fan base is going to be split and the fan base is going to be all over the gaff. It really will. So, you know, what X was saying earlier, I thought he was like pretty spot on with a lot of stuff. Obviously, there were some things where I'm looking at it with the transfers and everything, and we ain't got none. So all it is links.
For me, I just hope the players, whoever do come in, we just don't pull a last season where we blow smoke up every single one of their asses, and then we get disappointed when they don't live up to these diluted expectations. We just need to get these players in that Potter and McCauley think are going to fit the way we want to play, and just watch them unfold. And I think one positive that we might be able to have coming into this window, we're not going to have a lot of name brand guys. And that could bring some quality, that could bring some profit along the way, because we got some Brighton guys. And I don't want us to be a Brighton, because I think what Brighton do is a bit embarrassing. They seem to just be happy staying in the league, making tons and tons of money. But that we could maybe find that happy median where we find some gems, we bring in a few well-known people, make some money along the way, and then hopefully get back to fighting for a European place, because we all know that's where our ambitions should be.
Yeah, completely agree, mate. Smash a like on the video. It goes a long way. Try and get to 100 likes. If we do that, then that'd be great.
Smash a like for the bonnets, the trims, the hats.
Yeah. Shout out to the hats, the trims, and everything. Subscribe to the channel. Goes a long way. I know. I'm trying to get to 5,000. We are getting there slowly but surely, but we will get there at some point. And I really appreciate everyone. I really do, in the chat tonight. There's been so many people that have put their comments in. I couldn't really read any out because I was trying to listen to what you were saying and go through it all. But I will do a video towards the back end of the week. I'm going to have a few days off. I'm really gutted, mate. Really gutted about West Ham at the minute. It chokes me. It really does, because I knew this was coming. And it's fucking here. Anyway, that's enough from me. Take care of yourselves out there. Be well.